Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. A university professor advises that independent sovereign states reserve the right to befriend whichever country they choose. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Monday, 1st November 2021. Details when we return.
Hubbard's big promotion is back. Live free for 1 year. Spend $50 or more in any Hubbard's department and receive a chance to win big prizes every month. Property or vehicle insurance for 1 year. Free internet, cable and data for 1 year. Free fuel for 1 year. Free cooking gas for 1 year. Free electricity for 1 year. Free drinks for 1 year. Extra cash account and the big free groceries for 1 year. Promotion runs from April 1st to September 30th, 2021. Live free for 1 year with Hubbard's in association with Solgas, Flow, Grenadian General Insurance, Carib Brewery, Coca-Cola, Grenada Bottling Company, Grenlec, Communal Cooperative Credit Union, Dutch Lady Milk, Promo, Danny and Supreme. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. The United States seem to be concerned about the growing influence of China in Latin America and the Caribbean. Expert in international business and principal of the University of the West Indies Five Islands campus in Antigua and Barbuda, Professor Denzel Williams, weighed in on the issue during a recent exclusive interview with ABS. His comments follow a recent interview with Prime Minister Gaston Brown by U.S. broadcaster MSNBC.
If I were to advise policymakers on the geopolitical positioning of a country like ours, like Antigua and Barbuda, or small states in general in the region, you must start off with the first principle. We are friends of all and enemy of none.
The advice from Professor of International Business Denzel Williams as debate rages in geopolitical circles regarding anxiety in Washington about the growing influence of Beijing in this region. The United States is the world's largest economy, followed by China. Professor Williams says Antigua and Barbuda and other Caribbean states should make strategic decisions since both countries are important as development partners.
What we need to say is that what is our bargaining chip? And one of our major bargaining chips right now are small island states, and where we're located is our location. And so we have to use that and say to them, okay, we have the location, we have certain things that you want, we have a partnership going. We're not going to be enemy of anyone, and we're friends of all. And we start off on that discussion, on that footing, and we build our relationship around it. But we should not be cornered into a position where we have to say, I'm going to make a choice between this one or that one, because that's not healthy.
What is clear is that China has dwarfed the United States in spending in Latin America and the Caribbean. Prime Minister Honorable Gaston Brown commented on China's spending in Antigua and Barbuda during a recent feature for MSNBC's Morning Joe program.
It would be in the region of about $200 million, which is sizable for a small country like Antigua and Barbuda. So again, China has proven to be a very reliable partner.
Professor Williams agrees China has invested far more heavily in the region than the United States.
If you look today, for example, at China's investment in the region, it has significantly now surpassed what the US would have invested in the region. So what do you do? What do you do in that regard? You say, I'm going to drop the US. The US has been a long time ally of this region. You can't say you're going to drop the US. And the US will always be an important friend for this region, so you have to keep them as well. Similarly, the Chinese has now become the new, the new investment partners, but it doesn't mean throw away the old partners.
Prime Minister Honorable Gaston Brown shares that view and has even used the same phrase, friends of all, enemies of none, to characterize his government's geopolitical stance. Meanwhile, when asked by MSNBC about the US's investment in the region, this was Prime Minister Brown's response.
I would say that they have not done enough for the Caribbean, and I think there should be a refocusing, and clearly there's still some developmental gaps within the region, and the United States has resources to assist.
All eligible primary and secondary school students will soon be legally required to take the COVID-19 vaccine to be in school. Jamie J. Roger of ABS News reports.
This is nothing new. We are simply strengthening the legislation. As a child going to school, I remember very well that my parents had to produce an immunization card. I remember. When I became an adult and was thinking of going off to university, one of the requirements was that you produce that card and a medical certificate from a doctor.
The 2008 Education Act mandates that primary school students must be vaccinated for school admission. Leader of Government Business in the Senate, Senator Mary Claire Hurst, explains the effect of Friday's amendment.
This has been changed now to make the requirements applicable to both primary and secondary level by deleting the word primary from the chapeau opening sentence, Madam President, and just to say each child is required to show proof of immunization as prescribed by.
Senator Hurst says this is to ensure the student's safety and encourages parents to let their children take the vaccine to return to face-to-face classes.
Madam President, it appeared to me as if we want to make sure that our children, Madam President, get back to school. We are saying you're going to school. You are welcome to come back, but not without your immunization card, and make sure that you are vaccinated. It is important, Madam President, because it is your life. Do us a favor and choose life.
The bill passed without amendment. Jamie J. Roche, ABS News.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
The Barbados Chamber of Industry and Commerce is concerned about factors which are hindering private sector investment and ultimately delaying economic recovery. More in this Barbados Today comprehensive report on the issue.
President Anthony Branca has made a direct appeal to Prime Minister Mia Mottley to step in and help provide some ease. He was speaking at the BCCI's Business Forum and luncheon held at the Lloyd Erskine Sandyford Centre on Wednesday under the theme Building Bridges for Successful Economic Recovery.
We are, however, quite concerned at the slow progress in moving and improving our ease of doing business at the commercial level, with the only significant improvement to date being the implementation of the Asikuda World. And even then, with the implementation of that program, other government agencies are stalling the full benefit of Asikuda World due to their inefficient and bureaucratic processes. Aligned with the issue of ease of doing business is the slow pace of the digital transformation strategy. COVID-19 has clearly highlighted the urgent need for digital payments and services with government. Systemic inefficiencies across some government departments often retard the flow of business activities and frustrate new business developments.
Branca said the COVID-19 pandemic had affected all areas of business.
But if there is one common element among the business community, is that we all had to adjust the way we do business. As a result of cost and productivity challenges, due to positive cases in the workplace, there are many businesses who continue to struggle with cash flow issues. To this end, we need your support in asking commercial banks to consider restructuring of loans to take into account the reduced cash flows, and further, that your government legislate a Fair Possession Act that protects the mortgagor's equity. The duty-free sector has also been severely impacted by the lack of tourists on island, and our appeals to date have not seen any attempt to render relief. So I use this opportunity, this occasion, to again make the appeal regarding the implementation of local duty-free sales, which can stimulate some critical business activity for that sector this Christmas season.
But Prime Minister Motley told the business community in a wide-ranging address that a lot of the changes needed depended on them.
But we have to adapt how we live and how we do business in this country. And what does that mean for most of us? You have spoken about areas of concern to you, but we need to understand context before we even get to the specific areas of concern, because the context is what is going to drive your behavior, and what is going to drive our behavior, and what is going to drive the behavior of ordinary Barbadians. Because a pandemic is fundamentally about behavior. Vaccine hesitancy is about behavior. Mixing with people is about behavior. Restrictions on movement is about behavior. And what we have first and foremost to accept as a nation and as a people is that we have the capacity to change our behavior and to change our expectations with respect to what we can do. We no longer live in a world where you can take for granted that what you want will be available when you want it, how you want it, if you want it. Because traditionally, our private sector has been protected. Protected before independence through colonial powers. Protected since independence by reason of many treaties and forms of legislation. But the one thing that we know now is that nobody owes us a living. And no one is going to give us anything. And that we need to earn our way through this world. And we need to rethink our purpose. And we need to rethink the urgency with which we act.
A new International Labour Organization report found that the loss of working hours in 2021 due to the coronavirus pandemic will be significantly higher than previously estimated.
ILO Director General Guy Ryder made the disclosure during the release of the 8th edition of the ILO Monitor Report entitled COVID-19 and the World of Work.
The global labour market recovery in the course of this year, 2021, has actually stalled. It is flatlining. And that means that our estimates for the year in its entirety is that the hours actually worked this year will still be 4.3% below what were being worked pre-pandemic in the last quarter of 2019. So, we're looking at a global economy which looks like it's bouncing back, 5% growth or more. And yet labour markets are not getting back to where they were. And the deficit is very substantial. That's the first message. The second message is about the unevenness of the experience of recovery. What are we seeing? We're seeing, and I'm simplifying slightly, we're seeing the rich world, and I would add China to that, bouncing back quite strongly. They are seeing a recovery which is significant. And yet for the emerging and the developing world, that is not the case. They are really not growing. In some cases, they're going backwards. And so we're seeing evidence of what we call a great divergence. The rich world doing relatively well, but regrettably, the developing and emerging countries really going nowhere.
Did you know that your friends and family can now shop at the Food Fair from anywhere in the world, and you can receive here in Grenada? The Food Fair and GrenadaMarket.com now make it possible through secure online shopping and personalized customer service. Simply send your loved ones a list of your preferred items or let them fill an online basket, and the items will be available for pickup or delivery. Visit GrenadaMarket.com or thefoodfair.gd today for more details. The new norm. Spread the news.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.